Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Michael Wall. I figured I would start this video off by going over the anatomy of a brush. I am an ambassador for Princeton brushes, and that is what I will be reviewing today. Now, the simple anatomy is there's a head, a ferrule, and a handle. When it comes to the head, there's mainly two parts. It's the tip, the toe, or the point, whatever you want to call it. And then the middle section is known as the belly, and this is what holds all the water and pigment. Got the ferrule here, got different types, and the crimp, and then of course the handle. The handle usually has a label showing what kind of brush it is and the size. And these are synthetic brushes. They're not natural squirrel hair or anything of that nature, but I use these brushes in a traditional way and a very non-traditional way. I'm actually a little hard on my brushes. They go through a lot of wear and tear. I typically stick to the rounds and the long rounds and the rigger brushes, and of course the mop brushes, also known as quill. And these are the five that I typically use. Now, of course, I do use all my brushes. I never limit myself to just these five. I'm just saying these are my go-to, but I pretty much use all my brushes. And I change them out and use them in ways that you're probably not supposed to, but I feel comfortable doing. And just to give a quick little demonstration on how I use them, and I use all of them the same way. It just depends on the size. The size typically determines how much you can load into the belly of your brush, and with the bigger brushes, you can load a whole lot more. There's a lot more water in the head, and it can hold a lot more pigment. So of course, you can use your traditional methods of just applying the pigment. I also like doing side swipes. And then I also, now this will ruin the tips of your brushes fairly quickly. I know you're supposed to use cheaper brushes to do the more damaging work, but I tend to not worry about that. I'd rather just paint and have a good time. But I go against the grain and push down, which gives me a lot of texture effects. And so that's my review. I love Princeton brushes. They are very well made brushes. The synthetic hairs are beautiful. They hold up great. I haven't had an issue with any of the tips on mine. You know, I love the grip. I love how they feel. Can hold it far, close. They're just all around beautiful, great brushes, and I would recommend them to anybody. Now, of course, you can also do splatter effects as well, which I should demonstrate. Bigger the brush, the less control, supposedly. The more loose and wild you can be. The smaller the brush, the tighter the markings, the more detail. That's typically my rule of thumb. So you can do the big splatter effects with the bigger brushes. And then we'll go with the smaller long round. Long round. Smaller details. So there you have it. Thank you all for joining me. Keep those brushes loaded and moving that pigment around. Take care. I really hope I got everything I needed. Between the birds, that dog. Just a little much.